It's so lovely to see you all here this evening, and I love seeing how you like chatting with one another because we like that spirit in this school district. There is no report from closed session today, but before we start this meeting, I do have one little piece of sadness to start with. One of our own, Rachel Ratham, died, and she's beyond special. And I'm going to tell you, especially the children in this room, why she's so special to all of us. She worked in our finance department. A lot of people work in finance. She worked under, from what I can count, 5 different superintendents of finance. She had a darling personality and a British accent, and was a person who never wanted attention. But I'm going to tell you why she's important to every one of us in this room. A number of years ago, Fullerton School District decided to be the first school district west of the Mississippi to try to implement a one-to-one technology program. Children, how many of you have devices given to you by the school district? Who has an iPad or a laptop? I see some hands going up here. Yeah, a lot of hands. Well, when it started, there wasn't money for it. People didn't think it was a very practical idea to give children technology. After all, they wouldn't know what to do with it. And there was a meeting held. The superintendent, I had the pleasure of being there, a person from Educational Services, and Rachel. The problem was, how are we going to fund technology for students? It was going to be a small program to start out with, but we didn't have enough money. And there were ideas, many ideas, but they involved a lot of attention from finance. We were asking parents to contribute to purchase their children's devices, to pay fully, to pay half, to pay on time. You can imagine how complicated that is. So we had this meeting, and Rachel came in, and she represented the finance department. And she was going to have to be the person to keep the records of every single student and family that was going to be involved in this program. The ideas were presented to her. I remember I was seated right across the table from her. We wondered what she was going to say. She never took a breath, and her answer was, "Of course, if this is good for children, I have no problem doing this." It is her energy and her can-do and her positive attitude that allowed this school district to be the first school district west of the Mississippi to try a one-to-one program. And so, while you may not have known her, she has impacted each of your lives. And for that, I'd like to take a moment of silence. May she rest in peace. Now I'd like to have the joyful time of having Raymond School lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Are we ready? Thank you.
Please join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hola, mi nombre es Riley y vamos a hacer el saludo de la bandera. Pon tu mano derecha sobre tu corazón. Listos, comienza. Yo prometo lealtad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa una nación indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos.
Hi, my name is Jaden Cargill. We hope you enjoy our performance of This Land Is Your Land. Please join in if you know the words.
This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Islands, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me.
Hola, mi nombre es Bianca. Hoy las clases de cuarto grado dual vamos a cantar Esta es tu tierra. Empezó el en este camino, por los cerros, bajo el cielo azul, montes y llanos, sobre mis pasos, esta tierra es para ti, para mí.
We hope you enjoyed watching the performance. Thank you for watching.
Esperamos que les haya gustado nuestro trabajo, esperamos que lo hayan disfrutado.
For those of you who are unaware of it, Raymond School has a dual immersion Spanish-English program, and so it's lovely to see how well they're doing with their program, and we're honored that they were able to share with us. The next thing we're going to do is talk about some people we'd like to honor. So first, may I call up our two amazing Teachers of the Year, Rebecca and Pamela. I think we're going to do that first.
All right. Hi, Rebecca and Pamela, if you could head right up front so everyone can see you. Good evening, President Sugarman, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Pleka, Cabinet, and guests. It's my pleasure tonight to be able to introduce our 2021 FSD Fullerton School District District Teachers of the Year. We have, from the elementary, we have Pamela Zanell. Now, you may not know Pamela, but Pamela is one of the hardest working teachers at Hermosa Drive, and she has over 28 years of teaching experience. Pamela is known for creating a warm and welcoming classroom environment that is inclusive of all, and I mean all, students. Her colleagues marvel at her ability and willingness to volunteer for almost every Hermosa, school district, and community service event, and I've seen her at almost all of them. In addition, she is the FEDA negotiations chair, so I get to spend a lot of time with her. And Pamela's students say they like to be in her classroom because she treats each of them with respect, love, and compassion. Please join me in celebrating our 2021 District Elementary Teacher of the Year, Pamela Zanell.
You know, we have 20 schools, and so I want you to know that every school has a special Teacher of the Year, and Pamela is the Teacher of the Year for all of our 15 elementary schools and 2 K-8s that have K-6. So Pamela, that's huge. Not to take anything away, we'll get there. And I hope you children appreciate in your own schools your Teachers of the Year. I want to tell you one of the things I like most about Pamela is that she not only walks the walk and does the talk, she works on foundations. She shows up at every event, just crazy, always there. And when you go into her classroom, the children are doing their stuff in creative ways, and you don't necessarily find her easily because she's in there laughing and doing with them. And that's what makes her class so joyful. This year, this strange year, I think all of us can agree, Pamela was one of our teachers who showed people how, was recorded to show her colleagues how to teach roomers and Zoomers simultaneously. I had the honor of being in there when she was recorded, and I tell you, the night before I went to see that, I thought, I don't know how she's going to do it. She did it so calmly and so well, and no surprise to me, you're a Teacher of the Year. Congratulations, my friend. Introduce yourself.
Oh, I have with me today, I have my husband, Mark, and my son just home from his sophomore year of college, Benjamin. And my principal is here, Dr. Ramirez.
Madam President, may I say a few things? Pamela was my teammate at Hermosa. She spent her first year of teaching in California next door to me, and I thought I was going to be her mentor. Well, that didn't work out because she had it all together. In fact, I learned a lot from you, and we had some really good times. I'm so proud that you're up here.
Almost enough flowers for you. Would you present her? Come on up with her. Yes.
Just one thing I would like to also acknowledge about Pamela, we value and appreciate our FETA and the leadership that they provide and the support and the care, and I just want to also acknowledge all of your work throughout our district and the leadership that you provided and the care that makes our district better. So thanks, Pamela.
All right, but we're not done. We also have another teacher that we're honoring tonight, who is our District Junior High Teacher of the Year, Rebecca Robledo. Now, Rebecca is a proud member of the Ladera Vista Junior High faculty. Rebecca is known for being an outstanding teacher, department leader, team player, and advocate for her students, and I've seen that in action. She is truly an advocate for her students. In the words of one of her colleagues, it really wraps up who she is. She takes on some of the most challenging students and is able to maintain her positive attitude with wisdom, professionalism, and humor that all junior high teachers need to have in their DNA to not only survive, but to thrive. And I have personally seen her take students who were having a very bad day and to make them smile and even laugh. So let's give a big round of applause to our 2021 District Junior High Teacher of the Year, Rebecca Robledo.
When I visit Ladera Vista and I go into your classroom, I feel the spirit of joy. And I see your children engaged happily. Now, for those of you who don't have junior high age students yet, I have just described a miracle. And it happens daily in your classroom. And your colleagues refer to you with awe about your patience, your calmness under crisis, and how you are able to bring down the stress level of your students. For that alone, you are an exemplary teacher, and we are so proud of you. Dr. Oh, wait, do you have people here you'd like to introduce?
I have my oldest son, he's 20 years old, Elijah, who also is a graduate from FSD. And my youngest, Mia, she's currently in the dual language program at Raymond right now.
Just again to say also as a former junior high teacher that we need people like yourself who show that passion, that kind of personal connection that you make with students year after year. So thank you. Thanks for all your work on this. We're good.
Going to do the student awards. Who's going to do them?
We have Kyle, who's going to talk about
Where
our
is
art
he?
show.
Okay. Kyle Meyer is now stepping into the room. He is in charge of our arts in the classrooms. And for those of you who've been to our plays, he's in charge of our stage program. And he does wonderful work with our students. And if you'll take a moment, and Kyle, you have to step to your right for a minute. Please, everybody, take a look at what our students have put out. Amazing. Just amazing. The creativity, the color, the flow, and how each one of these pieces of art touches you. It's just amazing, and I'm so proud of them. Kyle?
Thank you. I already got a wonderful introduction. So my name is Kyle Myers in Educational Services. I'd also like to do a quick shout out to Michelle Rzeski, who's in the back, who helped put all this together. So we're so excited to have the Wonder of Waters program, competition, art and photography competition here. So for the last few weeks, all of these have been displayed throughout the district office here as everybody has walked by and been able to enjoy them. When we started taking them down today to bring them here, everyone said, no, don't take those away. But anyway, we're just really, really pleased to be here tonight. The Wonder of Water competition is sponsored by the nonprofit Kids Fish On. Did you want to talk about that real quick?
So a group of us a few years ago started the nonprofit Kids Fish On, and it has a couple purposes. One was to really promote the wonders of water. As someone who did a lot of surfing and boating and water skiing, and somebody that swam and played water polo and all those things, and a lot of others, that there was just so much joy associated. And then the second thing is the importance of protecting our environment, and so the nonprofit supports the protection, advocacy of the environment, and specifically the watershed, and keeping our watershed clean. And so the work that you're doing and showcasing water highlights the importance of that watershed and actually helps to protect our natural resource, the water. So thanks again, everybody, and we have some prizes that were brought forward through Kids Fish On.
Thank you. So this year we had almost 400 entries for the competition. Woo! Yes. And this year we had to do things a little bit differently, so all the submissions were submitted to us digitally, and we took, so kids did their pictures, we've got photography entries, we've got all sorts of art mediums, we've got watercolors, pastels, crayons, markers. This one right here, believe it or not, was all done in colored pencils with a white gel pen for the highlights. So all different types of mediums were used for these. So we're really excited to see the creativity in all of our students in Fullerton School District. So this year we have two categories, the love of water and the nature of water. And within that we had elementary entries and junior high entries for both. And we picked a first and second place for those. And then this year, brand new, is an overall winner. So that's a brand new thing for us this year. What we did, who chose these, because I get that question a lot, who chose the winners, is that we actually sent out all 400 entries to several local artists and had them choose the entries and send those back to us. So it was chosen by artists in the community here. So we're very proud of that. We're very proud of all of our students. So with that, I think I've talked way too much, so I would like to start calling up one of our first recipients. Is Maya Serrano. Did she make it tonight? I don't know if she came in after I checked. She may not be here. So we're going to check outside really quick.
Thank
and it
you.
should be in that order. So
Okay,
Maya's
so I'll
right
take
there.
that one.
And then this is Maya's artwork here. Is she here? So Maya's not here, but we'll go ahead and accept this on her behalf so that we don't. Thank you. So Maya is from Woodcrest Elementary in 5th grade. 5th grade. Our next one is Jackson Martinez. Jackson Martinez, come on up. And so which one's yours? Grab yours. Why don't you go ahead and grab that? And then I'd like to present you with the certificate and check, and I think someone's going to take a picture there, so hold it up and smile bright. Thank you. Nicholas, 8th grade, right? Yes, 8th grade. Awesome. And next up would be Parker Yee from Fistler. Nature of Water, 2nd place, 7th grade. So right here. All right. And next up we have Andrew Kim. Andrew Kim. Oh, there he is. Come on up, Andrew. From Sunset Lane Elementary School, 5th grade, love of water, 1st place. Right here, Andrew, why don't you grab yours? And then smile for the cameras. Okay, now I'm going to tell you, can you hold this one behind really quick? Because they're going to want a picture of that fish there. There you go. Sunset Lane, yes.
And are your parents here?
They're right. Can everyone just, I was trying to wait for him to take that way. Just scoot that way so we can all fit in. You can stand up. Awesome. So our next one is Mandy Greco from Ladera Vista Junior High, 7th grade, love of water, 1st place, junior high. Come up and get a picture of me. Don't be shy. And next up we have Christine Kim from Laguna Road, 2nd grade, Nature of Water, 1st place. I'm not going to ask if your family is here because we just heard them, so we know that they're here. So why don't you come on over here and stand right there so that you make sure they get a nice picture. Whoa. All right. Can you hold that to me? Here. Set this on the ground. Here, we'll set this on the ground like that, and then hold your certificate. Now get a picture. There we go. Too many things to hold. All right. Next up, we have Violet Chin from Ladera Vista Junior High, 8th grade, Nature of Water, first place. Violet, there she is. And then go ahead and stand right there so you can get a nice picture. She's from Ladera Vista Junior High.
Ladera Vista, wonderful. That's our School of the Arts.
There you go. And our last recipient tonight is Celine Park, Sunset Lane, 6th grade. She entered under Nature of Water, but she was our overall winner for the whole competition. Go ahead and grab your picture here. There we go. Hold that as well. And if you want, stand right there so you get a nice picture. Wonderful, and that concludes all the winners. Why don't you all stand right there and see if we get a nice group shot. I'll make sure I'm out of the way so we can get a shot. Yeah.
You know, without your families coming and bringing you and their support for you, there's no way to make all this happen. So very big thank you to the parents and the grandparents. Yay. Thank you for joining us this evening. We appreciate it. We're proud of your students.
Parents, the check for their prizes on the back side, so you can help them with that.
And if they want to donate it to one of the foundations,
Put it into their college.
their college fund. You can take your paintings with you.
Yes, please do. Yes.
Thank you, Flower Man. Oh. Are both translated into Spanish and Korean. And if you need translation, go to our website, fullertonschooldistrict.org, and there are places to highlight to get translations in either Spanish or Korean. And we are thrilled to have you listening in to the translations.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming. Thank you.
We are going to change our agenda a little bit this evening. We are going to move up our LCAP report, if that is that okay with my board?
Yes, please.
Yes. Thank you, because we have some parents here, and we know that they want to get home to their families. So I don't think we need a motion. I think we can just do that. Yeah.
Good evening, President
Yeah,
Sugarman, Board of
start it off.
Trustees, Dr.
That
Superintendent,
will be good people.
Dr. Bob Pleka, and Executive Cabinet. I am honored to call up Dr. Janelle Lau. She has done a fabulous job in tackling the new LCAP template. So tonight, what we have planned for you is background information on the LCAP, the process, as well as the first draft of the LCAP to preview. So without further ado, here's Dr. Lau.
Good evening, President Sugarman,
Good
Board of
evening.
Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Pleka, and Executive Cabinet. I am pleased to be here tonight to present the new LCAP for 2021-2024. And I have some parents here tonight who volunteered to help present as well. I'll introduce them later. Excuse me. The agenda tonight is to learn about what is the LCAP, how much funding do we get, what are the requirements, what is FSD's plan for spending the funding, and what are the next steps for LCAP approval? So what is the LCAP? The Local Control and Accountability Plan, or LCAP, is a requirement of the Local Control Funding Formula, or LCFF. So those are two major acronyms in all of this. LCFF funds every student in California at the same base rate, but districts receive additional funding depending on a couple of different things. The number of students from the following target groups, including English learners, foster youth, and low-income students, and whether or not one or more of the above groups represent 55% or more of students in the district. And that's concentration funding. And since we're only at about 50%, we're not eligible for that funding. So how much funding do we get? The Local Control Funding Formula provides an estimate of over, or will provide an estimate of over $117 million for the 2021-2022 school year. Most of this, as you can see, would go to salaries and benefits, and the remaining will be used for instructional materials, supplies, professional development, and operations. So what are the requirements of this funding? LCFF gives districts full funding flexibility, but requires accountability. Key requirements include engaging parents, teachers, and staff in the development of a plan for how we are going to use this funding to address 8 state priorities for LCFF. District goals, actions, and expenditures must be aligned to one or more state priorities, and we must report on annual progress we make toward meeting these 8 state priorities. The 8 state priorities can best be understood in 3 different buckets, one of them being the conditions of learning. So we have basic services, state standards, and course access. And these refer to actions that ensure we are providing the highest quality learning environments for students through safe and well-maintained schools, highly qualified and fully credentialed teachers, access to rigorous curriculum that is aligned to state standards, and courses that provide a broad course of study. The next bucket is pupil outcomes. This refers to actions the district is taking to measure and improve student achievement in core content, such as ELA and math, as well as how we are measuring progress in other content areas such as PE, history, and electives. The third bucket is engagement. This refers to actions and services that the district has implemented to provide engaging learning experiences and to promote positive and social-emotional health and well-being for students. It also refers to how the district is promoting access to parent involvement in student learning and school decision-making. In determining how to prioritize its goals, LEA should consider performance on the state and local indicators, which are required to be reported annually to the board, as well as the public through the dashboard. However, in order to accommodate COVID learning conditions this year and testing conditions, CDE will not require the dashboard this year. Therefore, most of the state and local performance indicators that we would normally report on are from 2019-2020, so you've already seen those and they've already been reported. However, there are 3 local indicators that we would like to report on tonight: basic services, implementation of academic standards, and parent engagement. So priority 1 is the basic conditions at school. On the left, you will see the district measures that we use. And on the right, you will see the district results. And you can see that we have 100% compliance in each area related to teacher quality and quality of facilities. Priority 2 is about the implementation of state standards. In order to measure this, this year and last year, we did a survey of our principals and asked them to rate where we're at in the district in terms of whether or not we're at full implementation on the different measures that are on the left. And you can see this. So this was a scale out of 3, and the results range from 2.36 to 2.64. Priority 3 is about parent engagement. Again, on the left side, you can see some of the measures we've used in the past. This year, we were able to engage parents through the COVID learning and teaching conditions and involve them in different ways, including asking them for input on the different learning models, increasing access to parent-teacher conferences through Zoom. We were still able to hold a virtual FSD Fest and STEAM Nation, as well as the other things that you can see there. One of the first things that we did, however, was the listening tour and a parent survey related to that. So there were many ways to get involved with district decision making and engagement in student learning this year. So supplemental funding is, in FSD, accounts for about 11% of our total funding. So therefore, in addition to developing the strategic plan for our base programming and services, the district must also develop plans to specifically increase and/or improve services to students for whom we receive the additional supplemental funding. Since this funding makes up about 11% of our total funding, we must also demonstrate a proportional increase and/or improvement in services to the unduplicated groups of students in future annual reports. And just kind of an FYI, these 3 groups are referred to as unduplicated student groups in the LCAP. So here are some examples of how the 2021-2024 LCAP proposes to use the supplemental funding to target the unique needs of English learners, foster youth, and low-income students. Examples of academic intervention and enrichment includes RTI, or Response to Intervention, the Summer Learning Academy, and after-school tutoring. Examples of wraparound services for low-income and foster youth includes intensive mental and behavioral health supports, reducing chronic absenteeism, coordination of coordination of homeschool and community resources. And if you're not familiar with the diagram on the right, you will hear a lot more about that later tonight. Examples of outreach to targeted groups to increase parent engagement in student learning includes access to hotspots and devices, digital literacy workshops, and trainings on how to navigate the school systems. So stakeholder engagement is another key requirement of LCAP. Tonight we are pleased to have 4 members of our LCAP Stakeholder Advisory Group volunteer to present tonight, not only on stakeholder engagement, but also on how the recommendations were reflected in the goals, actions, and services proposed in the new LCAP. Our first 2 parents will present on stakeholder engagement, like I said, and that will be Eglith Nunsi from Pack Drive. Eglith, you can come on up. As well as Tatiana Ortega. She represents CSCA and staff member at Ladera and a parent at several schools. Tatiana, you can come up as well. And I will click the slides for you. Oh, okay, thank you. So, for the actual students. Okay. You don't need this. Sorry.
Hello, good evening, my beautiful Fullerton School District family. I'm so happy to see all of you. You know, I always like the attention. I'm so happy to be here and be part of the LCAP and the engagement of our parents. And I thank all my fellow parents that were part of this. It's so wonderful to see our community involved. Another key requirement for LCAP is being transparent about the process and engaging stakeholders in the planning. This requires that information and decision-making is visible to the public and that it promotes participation and accountability. Districts are required to consult with specific stakeholders group when developing the LCAP. This slide summarizes the required groups. I'm gonna name a few of them, but I think all of them are so important. We have our Fullerton Council of Parents Association, our wonderful PTA, our amazing DLAC, our extraordinary parent representation school sites, our incredible Fullerton Education Foundation, our incredible and talented All of the Art for All the Kids Foundation, our mighty Fullerton FIRA, our extraordinary FISMA, our awesome business personal services, and we cannot least, mention our incredible and loving child welfare and attendance. Our educational services, CNI, CDS, and student support services that do an amazing work in our district. Each year, FSD brings together an LCAP stakeholder advisory committee to seek feedback from representatives from all the required groups. As you can see on the slide, we have a variety of teachers, administrative, and parent groups. In addition, to make sure each school is represented, each school Champion for Learning, which I'm very pleased to be part of, is represented in this committee. Together, this group results in a committee made of 40 members this year. We met virtually 3 times in February, March, and April, and I'm so pleased to be part of LCAP in our district. Now, Tatiana.
Good afternoon. During our 3 virtual meetings, we were given an overview of the LCAP requirements and process. We also reviewed the goals, actions, services, and outcomes, as well as the metrics from 2019 and to 2020 LCAP. At our 2nd and 3rd meetings, we had a chance to get into breakout groups and provide input on the goal of our choice based upon our own perspective and experiences. And those breakout groups were amazing. They could go on for hours if we were allowed to. We also reflected on feedback that was presented to us from a variety of sources, including input and feedback from the 2019-2020, which included the block parties and last year's LCAP Stakeholder Advisory Committee. We also reflected on themes that emerged from this year's Community Stakeholder Survey, Student Survey, and Listening Tour. Using all that feedback, we made final recommendations on the goals, actions, and services that the district should be focused on next year. After considering all the input from last year's Stakeholder Advisory Committee and block parties, as well as this year's listening tour and parent, staff, and student surveys, there were 5 recommendations that rose to the top. As you can see here on the slide, the 5 that rose to the top are learning recovery through in-person or virtual intervention and enrichment, inclusiveness through culturally responsive teaching practices, technology, equity, and access, and teacher training support, social emotional health and well-being of all students, and lastly, parent engagement in student learning. Thank you.
So what is FSD's plan for spending the funding? So next we would like to share some highlights of how these recommendations are integrated into the proposed goals, actions, and services for next year. And I just want to reiterate that all the goals, services, and actions are grounded in the board goals. So next I'd like to invite and introduce Lance Doe, a parent at Fissler, as well as Nivi Jawar, a parent at Laguna Road, to present the 4 goals.
Good evening, esteemed members of our executive board. As Janelle said, my name is Lance Doe. I'm a parent of a third grader at Fishler School. This has been a year unlike any other, and one in which our parent community, teachers, staff, superintendents, this board, and yes, Fullerton School District as a whole has risen like a phoenix to not only overcome the near impossible challenges we have faced, but arouse stronger, brighter, and more capable of meeting the needs of each and every student as they navigate our ever more complex, culturally diverse, and, as always, ever-changing, technologically advanced society. Let me just say I am proud to stand here before you today as a parent, as a member of our LCAP Advisory Committee, and most of all, as a member of this FSD community. I would like to now go into goals 1 and 2 of our LCAP. Goal 1 states that all students will demonstrate proficiency or growth towards proficiency in ELA and math. This goal allows us to recognize students who are proficient while, and this is a key part, also recognizing students below grade level who are making progress towards proficiency. Progress here will be one of our priorities. The key actions for this goal include the following: to mitigate learning loss, which includes expanding programs such as responsive intervention for both ELA and math, and the expansion of instructional time through the Summer Learning Academy, EL Jumpstart, and the expansion of the Delta Math Club to include intervention for ELA. Number 2, to increase student engagement with in-person, hands-on enrichment in areas such as the arts, math, social emotional learning, and other in-school and after-school opportunities. Number 3, Goal 1 also promotes inclusive learning environments through professional development and resources on SEL and culturally responsive teaching practices. Finally, and this is one of our priorities, this goal includes a focus on using data to track and monitor the progress of English learners, foster youth, and low-income students, and the programs being identified to support their needs.
Thank you. I want to interrupt just 1 second for
Yes,
our
ma'am.
translations. SEL, social emotional learning, so that our families understand our jargon. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I would like to move on to Goal 2. Goal 2 ensures that the district will provide access to high-quality digital tools, resources, personalized learning technology, and professional learning to ensure that all students have opportunities to access engaging online instructional resources and can demonstrate digital and informational literacy skills required for college and career success. Because after all, everything we do is to prepare them for college and the life afterwards. And this year, unlike any other year, Jeremy's team has been tested technologically, and whatever we had to do, we had to fast forward probably 10 years to get there. Key initiatives for 2021-2022 include ensuring equity and access to technology by providing devices, hotspots for internet access, and the ever-present access to Zoom these days. Providing technical support staff and resources to meet the needs of students, teachers, and parents. Providing professional development for teachers and support staff to promote the integration of technology and digital literacy into instructional practices. I will now turn it over to my colleague, Nivi, to present Goal 3 and 4.
Hi, Nivi.
Good evening, board. Thank you for allowing us to be here today. It's been an honor to serve on this LCAP committee. My name is Nivi Jawar, and I am the parent of an outgoing 6th grader from Laguna Road, youngest out of 3, so we are transitioning into middle school, and very excited to be making the change, but also bittersweet as well to be leaving the elementary arena. I'm here to speak today about Goal 3 and 4. Goal 3 ensures that all district departments and school sites will work together to provide a safe and secure environment that promotes the physical, social, and emotional health and well-being of all staff and students. This goal includes the following 3 key initiatives for the 2021-2022 school year. Continue implementing COVID-19 safety-related protocol and health and safety measures. Increase the capacity of schools to support students' social, emotional, mental health, and well-being through increased access to mental health staff and community resources. And develop students' social emotional skills, or SEL, by integrating SEL into regular teaching practices through professional development and instructional resources. Goal 4 is to increase parent and community involvement and communication throughout the district. Key initiatives for increasing parent engagement in the 2021-2022 school year include increasing opportunities for parents to be involved in student learning and school decision making. Some examples of this include Champions for Learning and use of Google Classroom. Providing parent workshops and trainings on school initiatives that they can support at home. For example, provide training on PBIS and SEL. Providing parent outreach and training to assist parents in navigating school processes, systems, and supports for student learning. Continuing outreach to our English language learner students and families to identify and support unique needs. And finally, launching a new parent advisory group focused on diversity, equity, and inclusiveness to help plan ways to celebrate cultural diversity in our district.
Thank you.
Thank you again, parents. Everyone did an amazing job. It means so much to have parents presenting this with us, so thank you. So what are the next steps for LCAP approval? Tonight is essentially a preview of the LCAP plan. On June 4th, we have a public hearing on the LCFF budget and then the draft of the LCAP. And on June 18th, we are seeking approval and adoption of the LCAP from the board, as well as the budget. And by July 1st, we need to send the final LCAP, and with the budget, of course, to OCDE for final approval. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
I don't have a question. I want to thank everybody for your time and effort into this, because I believe that this is a process that needs to come from this group of people. So we really appreciate all your time and effort and value what you have come up with. I was just wondering, were any of our parents surprised at any of the priorities or the outcomes from this?
Are you sorry, are you asking? I thought you were asking
Any
the
of the
parents.
Yeah, anyone. Anyone surprised?
I don't think they were. I hope not.
Were you surprised at any of the outcomes or any of the things that you guys came up with as goals or priorities going forward? Did anything surprise you, or was it pretty much what you intended or thought it was going to be?
They told me I can be a teacher because speak loud, but maybe not enough. I think like for all the parents, and they are the parents that are looking at us right now, I think like be part of the district, we're so proud. When it's technology, we get the hotspots. When it was a problem you see with the language, we have the support. This is one of the best school districts. It's not because we are all here, it's because parents, community, we all came together for the better being of our students. I'm so proud, I'm very blessed. Here is my daughter. I know many of you have your kids in the district. And we're so blessed to be in this district. Recently, I visited my country, Bolivia, and believe me, if they have the opportunities that we have here, my goodness, how amazing will be the world, even with a pandemic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We do thank each of you and all of the other participants in the LCAP, because it really is not only important to the state, it's very important to us who represent you. So thank you all.
And just for those that aren't familiar with this, maybe viewing or what have you, that this small little presentation comes from this volume of papers. So even though you guys made it seem very seamless, we appreciate the fact that every time you get really good at a template, the state changes it and you have to do things differently. So we as a board completely understand that and appreciate all the time that you're flexible and you bend and you make it work, even if they're changing it. And we do know that we have time to comment more later, so thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to say Sue did a great job of leaving a path to follow.
Yeah.
That made it a lot easier and doable in a short amount of time.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Now we're going to.
Questions?
I have a quick
Okay,
question.
Jenny. Okay.
First of all, it's really nice to see so many parents. I know how hard it is to get away from the home because you have so much to do there, and then to give us your time, that's most appreciative. I have a question about the launch, the new parent advisory group. What's that going to look like?
Do you want to speak to that?
More times for parents to come and join us.
Absolutely. We have 5 working groups, subcommittee groups that will be formed under our DEI, that stands for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee. And so we received a lot of inquiry and interest forms. So we actually have a selection committee this upcoming week that will be looking at the parents, staff members that have shown interest to look at 5 areas of subcommittees to get started with the work.
Thank you very much. I just got logged out of my agenda. Okay, now superintendent's report.
Thank you so much.
We've done a lot of celebrating. I just want to one more time acknowledge our LCAP committee, all of the work that they did. And so that's it. Just one final applause for all of them.
I heard when they left. They heard as they left.
This report.
I have. I know, I lost my computer, didn't look at it. Okay. Jenny, would you like to start?
Sure. This week I received a letter from the students of Orangethorpe Primary Multi-Age. And it was really interesting because they want to do something to change the environment. They think there's a problem and they are writing to us. And that's the start of having a successful venture. When I was teaching a long time ago, about 15, 20 years ago, I know we used to do the watershed cleanup at Laguna Lake, and one of the things we noticed was all the cigarettes that were there, the cigarette butts. And so my kids had the idea that we need to ban smoking from parks. It took about 3 years to get through the council and everything. And that's the reason why in Fullerton you do not smoke on the trails or on the parks. So these kids they say there's 346,000 plastic straws a year that are being consumed in Fullerton. So they gave reasons why they should be banned, and whether you like it or not, or agree with it or not, it's a really cool thing that these kids are going to do and take this to further heights. So neat things going on, and kudos to, I suppose Pam Keller has something to do with this. Thanks.
Thank you.
So hello everyone. I just want to give a big shout out to OC United and Jay Williams over there with Love Fullerton on April 24th. They poured some love into our schools with all the volunteers out in the community. I just want to acknowledge that because that's really kind of close and near and dear to my heart, because that's how you build a sense of community and you get to know some of your neighbors and the people that really do care about both our schools and our city as a whole. So I know they loved on quite a few of our schools that had service projects to do. So I just want to give a big kudos to OC United and Jay Williams over there. And then I also wanted to thank both Phil, Jason, Sung, and Dr. Lee as well too for an awesome celebration of STEM Nation. It had to be a little drive-through. We had this year was a little different. I participated at both events, and it was really fun to see the students come out and see all their hard work being celebrated, getting some gifts from, who's the sponsor there? Ozobots, yes. And yes, so kudos there. Definitely, it's amazing to see when the community comes together to celebrate both the parents and students, and again, just the achievements that happen. Sometimes unseen or unknown, but it's amazing what's happening in our community right now.
Thank you. Beth?
Thank you. It's so funny, Janie, we have been around each other way too long. I brought my letter too. I was going to read it, so yeah. And actually, to add to that, to make sure that we don't use plastic straws, they sent us an actual straw too. So I just thought that is a way that you make change. When we talk to our students about, identifying a problem, coming up with a solution, and then advocating, right? And that's what we all do, is we advocate, and teaching our kids on how to start that early makes a big difference. So I look at this and think, we're gonna be okay. This generation we're gonna be okay, so I don't worry too much. STEM Nation, I think that when you look at the things that our school district is doing, I don't know if we take it for granted, but I think that people don't realize that this stuff doesn't happen all over the place. And I want to commend all of our staff and all of our teachers and all of our students for rising up and participating and showing what they're passionate about with our dream catchers, with Pathfinders, with everything that we do to engage our students. It makes me so proud to be part of this district, and how much we truly, truly appreciate all the time and effort, because this doesn't happen just with a regular school day. It happens because people are passionate and they put the extra time and effort into it, from our staff to our teachers to our students who engage in that, who take on their passions and really continue with them to show us. So thank you for all that. I do want to give a shout out to Trang, who's now taken over, Trang Lai, who's taken over the subcommittee, the education subcommittee of the Fullerton Collaborative, and how she's bringing together groups of people to talk about early childhood education and what we can do to make that better and to make that happen, and to give our families the resources that they need, because they can't do it alone, and so we all have to identify what that is. So she's putting a lot of time and effort into that. I'm so proud to see that. And I believe that is, and again, OC United and just the things that are happening with Love Fullerton. When we first started this, again, we take things for granted, that even though we're a school district and you would think that you could just come in and organize a work day. It's not just as easy as saying, we want to go to this school and we want to do a planter, right? It's getting everybody involved. Is the school okay? Who's around to help that day for staff? So it's not just the volunteers coming in, it's the school sites that actually have to help out as well. And so I think that that collaboration doesn't happen overnight, and it happens because our school district has been open to bringing in people and being able to work with them. And I think that is something all of our associations and all of our staff and everyone make it happen, because it's best for kids. And so, again, I thank you for all
Thank you. Rooney?
Okay, just some quick shout outs to Sung for seamless honors testing for parents. I know that in our district this is something that is just so sought after, and thank you very much. Shout out to all of our speech and debate state participants. State competitions were this weekend. Special shout out to Orangethorpe Elementary for reminding us to stop using straws. I can't wait to see where that goes. Another special shout out to Raymond Elementary for dual language. That was our 4th grade class, which means that's our inaugural class. So they're just getting older and more proficient. And shout out to everybody in the district that is taking part in AAPI History Month. It's very important that we just not talk about sort of the greatest hits, but all the contributions of everybody that's made this country what it is. And this is our last meeting of the school year. I can't believe it. So thank you.
Thank you. Of course, I want to start out by saying that it's always a joy to see the Teachers Colloquium. And for those of you who don't know, the part of what teachers have to do these days to clear their teaching credential is to be evaluated, mentored, helped, supported during their first few years of teaching. And then, when they've completed and jumped through every hoop possible in the world, they get their credential cleared. And last week live, and tomorrow online, we will be completing several sets of teachers, and that's awesome. We're proud of them. We're very proud of them, and the teachers who gave the support to them. That's just wonderful. We had a movie night for the Fullerton Education Foundation. It was very fun. The movie was Grease. Every car sang along, and we just loved it. And we stuffed people with popcorn, cotton candy, candies, drinks, water. So it's amazing they could walk after the movie, but it was great. And thank you to all the people who supported it. Jeremy, could you tell us the special things that are going on next week, live streaming? Next week is an incredible week for students in 6 areas, and Jeremy's going to explain.
All right, so next week is our FSD Fest. So for those of you who've been in the district for a while, it's usually a live event where we celebrate students' voice, choice, and agency. However, because of the pandemic, we've had to go virtual this year. And all next week, you have the opportunity to log in at any point in time and see what our students have been up to. We have our Passion Agents Conference for our 5th and 6th graders, where they're able to just speak to their passions, things they love, things they're presenting on. We have our Spotlight Speakers, where our group with Wes back here in the back and Pablo and his team have been working one-on-one with a number of students who applied to create TED Talk style talks, which will be recorded and we will be featuring on our website later to sort of highlight those students and their voices and amplify those. We have our FSD Film Festival, where we're going to be doing sort of the online awards of the film festival that films have been put in. This year we went preschool. Jung Elias said, hey, can the preschool kids make movies? Yep, absolutely, why not? And we have like TK who've sent in videos that they've made, and it's crazy, it's fun. So FSD Film Festival. We have the FSD Innovation Experience, which is a time when principals. So again, Wes, Pablo, and the team have gone out site by site and made like little 1 to 2 minute promotional videos of the cool things that have been happening on campuses that the principals will then be able to speak about live online on the Zooms. We have our League of Literacy. So TK through 8th grade were challenged to read books, and then they had competitions at their sites if they were interested in sort of learning literacy and questions, sort of a game show style piece. And then our FSD Esports, very different this year. If you were there last year, it was this huge room, TVs everywhere, these huge bracketed competitions. This year, a little different. We've been having the students actually play games and send us screenshots. Fruit Ninja, there was a typing competition, which wasn't quite as exciting for the kids as the Fruit Ninja, but we still got a lot of them doing it. So they would send us their screenshots, and then at the end, it boiled down to a competition, sort of more that live competition. And then Civic Endeavors, our 6th through 8th grade group, who've been working, especially at the junior highs, on sort of creating a product that will then be presented all the different levels of what a product would look like, and it's sort of a way for them to change the world. So we're very excited. It is all next week. If you go to the website bit.ly, which is bit.ly/FSD website, there is a link to everything. So you can click, there will be a live button where you can log in at any point in time. We have a 1,000 person webinar line set up, so every event can be seen by every classroom in the district if they want to watch any of the events or watch anything that's happening. And a lot of it will be recorded and then turned into a website where we'll be able to celebrate those students at a later date by putting them out through social media and different things as we celebrate all of them through the week. So we're very excited by the response we've gotten by reaching out to parents and students. Throughout the whole year, Wes and the team have been doing Wednesday webinars where they've been teaching kids how to edit their videos and teaching parents how do you get involved, how do you help your child do a Passion Agent. So we're excited for what's going to happen, and I give all the credit to Wes, Pablo, Matt, Amy, and Susan, our ed tech team. They've been just really doing amazing work on this whole thing, so we're so excited to see it come together next week.
Thank you so much. You said that so much more clearly than I could have. Would you give the site once more so that everybody can write it down and that it can go through Spanish and Korean
Absolutely.
listeners?
Yes, it's bit.ly, B as in boy, I-T as in Tom, .ly/FSD Fest website. And then I believe, let me check, I believe it's also one of the banners on our homepage right now.
Does it have like a schedule at a glance that says what's like on one page what's going on?
Yes, so when you go there, and it is one of our banners. If you go to our website and wait a moment, the main picture changes, and it's got a huge link right there. But yes, when you go to the site, it's got a whole schedule of events. It tells you exactly what's happening each day. So yeah, if you want to go here, just give it a moment. It'll pop up right where the big picture is on top. That one, click right there in the middle. And then it takes you to our website, and then if you scroll down, you'll see the description of the 8 events and keep on going, and there's a schedule at a glance. So it has the schedule of events, exactly which one happens at which time each day, and the big red where it says click here to join. You can always click to get into every event. It's the exact same link for each event. So you see the sort of the schedule as it goes down each day.
Thank you so much.
Anytime, day or night, you get bored, you need something to do, there you go. Got a little half hour here, fill it right up.
Thank you. And see our students in action. Carmen, I think you have a picture for me to put up. LV had a dance production that's a big deal because the students have all been dancing at home. And a few have come in. So if you'll freeze that right there, it is the first time that they've come together live. Now, can you back that up? I think there's another picture that also showed the trucks. What I want you to look at is, do you see where the people are sitting there on the lawn? There's white chalk, and people bought lawn seats to bring their own blanket and sit on the lawn. Behind them, you'll see groups of people seated on chairs, much like you are, family groups or alone. And they bought tickets for seating on the chairs. And behind them, do you see those trucks that are backed in and people are looking from the back of the truck? They bought tickets for the truck spot. So this way, LV could take a small space and allow many groups of parents to observe the students as they performed for the first time together live dance. And I just was so tickled to see where there's a will, there's a way, and parents can come in. And obviously the staff thought a lot about how to create this space to allow this event to happen. And so kudos to LV. And if you come to the next board meeting, I'm going to share some of their music with you because I have a special video for us from LV. That's wonderful. So those, I think, are our reports for this evening. And stay tuned for future reports like DLAC. Do you have a report this evening? Good. Frequently, we hear the DLAC report read by Carmen. Tonight, we have the pleasure of having Mrs. Nuncy read it. You do send your report, and we appreciate that, Mrs. Nuncy. Special lady.
Hello, good evening. Egle Nuncy again. And I have with me my beloved daughter, Juliana, that she's so faithful to me, and she always comes to the meetings. Good evening, President Sugarman, school board members, executive cabinet, Superintendent Dr. Pletka, and all the families present and listening. Since the April board meeting, we held our last DLAC meeting of the year. Even though it's been a year filled with challenges, we as a district have done everything possible to support our students and families. We are thankful to be part of a district that values all the voices of its stakeholders. DLAC has had an opportunity to give input in various aspects of the district, such as LCAP, culturally responsive teaching, and the multilingual task force, to name a few. I would like to show my appreciation and gratitude to all the DLAC volunteers to put in our countless hours to support the families in our community. This last Friday, April 30th, we gave away over 500 boxes of food to the families. And let me tell you, yes, but the event started at 5 and we have people lining up at 2:30 waiting for the food. As we end the school year, we want to acknowledge the hard work of our district leaders, principals, teachers, and staff. We are looking forward to working closely with the new Director of Educational Services, Dr. Erlinda Soltero Ruiz. In addition, a big thank you to the most supportive and helpful team, Dr. Julian Lee, Roxana Fonseca, Abraham Garcia, Alma Mata, and Ivy Lee. DLAC is a success because of the hard work, dedication, and the commitment to our English learners and their families. Have a great end of the school year and great summer. Thank you, all of you, and many blessings to you and your family. Thank you.
Do we have something from the PTA this evening?
Good evening. On behalf of PTA, they wanted just to make sure to let everybody know and thank the teachers, administrators, and everyone that was involved in having a great, successful year, and they look forward to resuming everything a little bit more normal next year and joining us.
Thank you. And how about CSEA? Yay.
Good evening, Dr. Pletka, President Sugarman, members of the board, cabinet, and community. I'm Sherry Williamson, speaking on behalf of CSEA tonight. As CSEA reported last month, we're working with the district on identifying PAL teams at school sites and in FSD departments. To that end, our site reps completed a survey recently that provided key data about site representation, site or department meetings for classified employees, and representation for the 21-22 school year. Survey results indicated that we have strong representation at each location who want to continue serving their teams. The Chapter E board and site reps continue to improve communication and access to CSEA resources via various means, including our upcoming Chapter 130 website. Continued communication and collaboration among CSEA representatives, employees, and district management will ensure that FSD remains a top-notch organization for students and employees alike. Next week, I don't know how many people know this, May 16th to 22nd is Classified School Employees Week.
Yes.
Woohoo! CSEA recently selected Chapter 130 and Fullerton School District as one of 10 school districts in the entire state to participate in the annual Appreciating Classified Employees, or ACE program. This program pairs a cabinet member, board member, or other administrator with classified employees to highlight what classified employees do every day. Districts who have participated have found it to be beneficial and have said it fosters an even better relationship between district and classified employees. Now, because both Cabinet and CSEA already have a full schedule next week of years of service and retirement celebrations during that week, we're working with CSEA to reschedule ACE for the fall. Hopefully we can make that happen. Since next week is Classified School Employees Week, we are honoring retirees and those reaching service milestones. I have some numbers for you. We have 203 people with 2,520 years of service. Here are some of the important numbers. We have 51 retirees from the 1920 and 2021 school years with over 1,115 years of service to FSD. 78 employees are celebrating 5 years of service. 31 employees are celebrating 10 years. 48 employees are celebrating 15. 27 are celebrating 20 years. 8 employees are celebrating 25 years. 5 are celebrating 30 years.
Wow.
And 6 are celebrating 35 years of service with Fullerton School District. Finally, I would like to recognize our 827 classified employees at FSD for Classified School Employees Week. You have given unprecedented support to schools across the district, especially during the pandemic. You are appreciated and key to the success of Fullerton School District, its teachers, and especially its students. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That was really nice. We'll see you at the party. FETA.
Good evening, President Sugarman, and Board of Trustees, and Superintendent Pletka, and Cabinet. My name is Mark Jacobs. I represent FETA, our Teachers Association, and with just 2.5 weeks of school left, teachers continue to do their amazing miracles every day, rooming and zooming, and improvising to implement that simultaneous hybrid instruction model. Currently, many of us are doing our already Diagnostic 3, and I have great news to tell you that I know that we are worried and we do have some learning loss, but I have to tell you most of our students are performing very well and are meeting their annual goal and even their stretch goals. And so very happy about that. So we've been having a lot of nice shout outs in our school and just saying, hey, great job, you guys. You know, I really can't explain it because a lot of times when we're in Zoom, we don't have that same connection. But many of the students are really showing some awesome progress. Really happy about that. Many of our teachers are also being creative with traditional year-end activities while adhering to social distancing and safety protocols. I understand that some plays are still being done, but being held outside on a much smaller scale. I also hear that some 6th graders are still playing their traditional year-end student-teacher baseball games. And some PE teachers are working with teachers to provide a condensed outdoor track and field day. Promotions are still moving forward with in-person, drive-through, and video integrated ceremonies, all while following established protocols. We have many teachers retiring this year also. And though COVID has changed the way we celebrate our retirees, it hasn't stopped us. And this year we plan to celebrate our teacher retirees outdoors with regulated numbers and social distancing this Thursday from 3 to 4:30 here at the District Quad. We have, I believe, 23 retiring this year, and I would like to publicly thank them for their combined, not thousands, but hundreds of years of service to FSD, to the community, and to their parents and their children. And finally, I'd like to wish them a huge congratulations as they turn the page on this part of their lives and begin a new and exciting retired one. So thank you to all of you retirees. Looking forward to next year, FETA also recognizes that COVID seems to be under control. There is uncertainty about exactly how many students will be returning to school and at which school sites. The numbers of retirees, with the number of retirees this year, and the anticipated decrease in student attendance in the coming years has allowed us to adapt and avoid teacher layoffs, for which we are truly grateful. However, this will require some teachers to be transferred to other sites in order to meet changing needs of the district. And FETA asks the Cabinet and the Board to consider the ramifications of how transferring teachers may change the school's family culture and existing student programs at each site. Nobody likes change, and we appreciate the district's willingness to work with FETA in finding creative alternatives and solutions to make these changes a win-win for all. In closing, I'd like to say to and thank you to the incredible job our teachers have done during the most challenging year of, I would say, all of our careers. I'd like to acknowledge the overall support of Cabinet and the FSD School Board. You've provided, for all the support you've provided to our teachers and our sites. It hasn't been easy, and we've been confronted with huge challenges. But we know that if we can get through this year, we can get through just about anything, right? So thank you very much, and I hope you guys have an awesome, wonderful summer. Thank you.
Good evening to our Board of Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Pleka, and Cabinet. I'm Robin Gilligan. I'm the Director of Student Support Services, but I also am the President of our FESMA Association for our management team. And I just want to highlight a big congratulations to Dr. Erlinda Soltero Ruiz, who, although has already been a part of our management team, is now moving into a new position. We're excited to have her serve in this role, and a huge congratulations from everyone on our management team to you. In addition to that, I also want to highlight that, and was already mentioned before, but this is the time of appreciation. Every year we honor not only our administrative assistants, who that was towards the end of April. We're moving into our Nurses Appreciation Week, which is occurring right now and goes through the 12th. So a big thank you to our nurses. And that also embraces an appreciation to our CSEA staff, who was a vital part of our student health and wellness, and making sure that we had safe locations for our students to go to if they didn't feel well, as well as our nurses who took the lead on every health need across our district, like they typically do, but also in a unique way this year. And they also took the time to call every single one of our families who had unique health conditions or concerns, and reached out to the families to make sure that their kids were safe when returning back to school when we started back in October, as well as continuing to communicate with our families if there were any potential concerns on the campus throughout this year. So a big kudos to our nurses, and a huge thank you to what they have done to help us get through safely and with our health protocols. In addition to that, I also want to appreciate our teachers. This is also teacher appreciation, so it's a big an employee appreciation, and I know that at the front line of every classroom was the teacher encouraging our kids, encouraging them to get engaged, to participate, and to learn. And without them, I know that we probably wouldn't see the results that we have seen, like you were sharing, Mark, so a big thank you to all of our teaching staff. And then from, on behalf of our management, they are leading at the school sites as well as in our departments, and with their leadership in conjunction with the guidance from Cabinet and leadership from you, we have all worked seamlessly together. And although we've had, you know, twists and turns and stretched beyond we ever thought, we were able to get through this with some what we call nuggets of strength, as well as things that we never thought were possible, we now know are possible. And so with that, we want to continue to carry that forward as we continue to progress in our nation as a healthy community moving forward. So congratulations to all of our staff coming together, and a big appreciation for everyone. And we're going to just continue to move forward and celebrate all the retirements, end of year celebrations, and closing out this year, and then opening up for summer. So thank you.
with moving 13A to the beginning as we've already done.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. That's Rooney. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Minutes?
Now we're going to go to the minutes. Did you receive any corrections? No corrections. No corrections. Does anyone have any corrections? And may I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
I move to accept the minutes of the April 27th meeting.
Do I
Second.
have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Having none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's 5-0. Consent agenda. Do we have any items people want to move or discuss? For the audience to know, people have asked questions and our superintendents have answered our questions. And they answer every question to all of us, so that we all know the questions that we asked. And so the items on consent are items doing the regular business of this board. Sorry, thank you. The items on consent are doing the regular business of the board, and we've all investigated the questions that we have had on them. Do I have a motion to accept consent as we look at the donation page and see the amazing amount of money donated to I think it was Fissler, was it Fissler School this
I
time?
move that we approve
For the $19,000, wow.
Want me to approve? I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second. Sorry,
Thank you.
Leonel got it.
Yeah, we're all so eager. Is there any further questions, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Bev, where do I go next? I think administrative reports, huh?
Social emotional.
Wait a minute.
Number 11.
No, we're at number 11. Approve expanded learning opportunities, our ELO grant, and it's a great grant. And the board is.
Are we doing social emotional first?
It is.
Number 11? Isn't it just
11.
advancing social emotional?
11.
Okay.
Oh, I see. Excuse me. Number 11, advancing social emotional learning, mental health, and behavioral support presentation. Thank God you're here.
All right, you have your dynamic duo back again.
Welcome.
So, good evening to President Sugarman and to our Board of Trustees, Superintendent Pleka, and Cabinet. My name is Dr. Robin Gilligan, and I am here with my colleague, Dr. Helene Morris. And we are going to go present for you our advancing of social emotional learning and mental health and behavioral support. You did see us present in the last board meeting, and so this is expanding on what we started there, and we're going to go a little bit deeper tonight into these areas. Sorry.
My legs are cold.
And for those of you at home, this is our picture of who we are, so you know who we are.
Okay, so I'm going to start us out by talking about the what, understanding our needs and services. And so really this is what we did at our last school board meeting, where we presented the FSD framework in detail to ensure resources and personnel would be in place to expand our current practices. So we looked at the needs and services that supported this work, which was informed by our board goals, input received from our stakeholders through the LCAP process as well, which you heard about tonight. So just an overview of this framework. There were 5 key areas that we discussed at our last board meeting for our needs and services and to support our framework. And those areas are child welfare and attendance, social emotional learning, mental health, behavior crisis team, and special education. And you'll remember that this infographic or framework that takes all of these 5 areas and details the needs and services of our district in supporting social emotional learning, mental health, and behavioral supports.
So tonight, what we want to dive into more is the why. Usually it's the why and then the what, correct? But first we started out with the what, and tonight we're going to dive into the why, the goals and best practices, so using value systems and research-based practices to support the whole child. As you saw in our infographic, students remain at the center of the work that we do. They are our central and focal points. And our vision in all of this, our theme that you'll see is I see you, you are important, and you matter. And that's not just I see you students, you're important and you matter, but it's I see you staff, I see you teachers, I see you administrators, I see you parents, I see you community members. And we really wanted to make sure that we connected this to our board goals, because our goals really need to drive our services. And so I really, as I was reflecting on these goals, and I know as Dr. Gilligan was reflecting on these goals, we thought what wonderful goals that are in work that our board has set forth for us. And I want to make sure that we share these and that this work is aligned, that we are promoting child-centered education and build connections with students, emphasizing the whole child. Our goal is to provide programs that focus on restorative practices, nutrition, mental health, and social emotional health, personal responsibility, and positive climate. That we create an environment that incorporates the importance of safety, mental, physical health, and the well-being for all students, employees, and members of the community. And finally, that we strengthen the work with our community partners. So next, I'm going to turn it over to Robin, who's going to talk about our multi-tiered systems of support.
Okay, so we are all familiar with this model, which is the response to intervention pyramid. And as seen in this visual, it supports the academic needs of students through leveled services as represented by the green section, which is all students are receiving the service, to the yellow section where some students may need extra support, to the red section where few students may need intensive support. However, I want to draw your attention to the side that is circled, and that's the behavior side. We are adding into this, we have academics, which is the RTI side. We are now looking at the behavior side of this, using the same approach as we did with academics, but using behavior interventions and supports to that. And we call this now the multi-tiered systems of supports. It's more than just academics. It also embraces behavior as well, making it multi-tiered systems of supports. And on, as I was kind of saying, left side would be the academics, right side would be the behavior interventions. Is it down? Yes. Okay. So we also now have a little bit of a different model, and this model has a multi-tiered system of support as well in it, but it is focused on the blue section being academics. It's kind of hard to tell on this screenshot here, but the green section on the left is behavior, and on the right is the social emotional, which is the yellow circle. And when you put that all together, it overlaps and that supports the whole child. So you may be asking yourself, well, where's mental health on this model? And mental health falls under behavior. Mental health is a way to shape behavior. And so it's one service or an intervention. You can provide counseling if behavior is an area of need. In addition to that, you can also provide intensive behavior supports, which use tools and strategies to help shape behavior. So behavior has multiple ways of supporting kids and with their behaviors and helping them to shape it positively with each other, with their peers, and in a classroom environment. On the other side is the social emotional, and we'll go a little bit deeper on what that is and what that looks like in a classroom setting. So in this presentation, we're really going to focus in on the behavior side, and we're going to focus in on the social emotional side. Am I pointing? There we go. Okay, so on this slide, we have three big ideas that are defined. So we have social emotional learning, and as we learned in the LCAP presentation, also referred to as SEL or SEL. We have behavior support, and then we have the mental health piece. Both behavior support and mental health fall under the behavior model or the umbrella. So social emotional learning is a subject like any other subject in school. It's similar to like a subject like math or English language arts, science, social emotional learning. Except for in this area, social emotional learning really taps into the citizenship of a child. It has a California framework. It defines for teachers what to teach to their students, and it focuses on 5 core areas. Relationship skills, that's building friendships, maintaining friendships, and also relationships with peers and adults. It talks about social awareness, and that's identifying your personal, cultural, and linguistic assets and integrating those personal and social identities together. It talks about self-awareness, demonstrating honesty and integrity and linking your feelings and values and thoughts together. It's about self-management, having a growth mindset, making sure that you are establishing advocacy for yourself and how to appropriately advocate your needs with adults as well as within your friendship circles. And then developing interests and a sense of purpose. So social emotional learning is really embracing core concepts and really explicitly supporting kids in fostering and building upon that as they go throughout their each of the years. On the behavior support side, we have what we define as behavior is how we respond to our emotions. It can be an internal or an external response. So under behavioral supports, students will learn the specific strategies to appropriately respond to potential triggers that lead to attention seeking, avoidance behavior, or escape behavior. Sometimes students may need visual tools, such as a checklist or picture schedule for that day, or even some type of reward system or token system. They may need mentoring. That all allows them to respond positively to non-preferred tasks and build on little successes until we see greater successes in the classroom. Our behavior team can do all of these things, and they can help coach our staff on how to use these behavioral strategies based on the needs of the students to positively shape their behavior. On the mental health side, that's also about shaping behavior. It is yet another intervention to help support the child to grow positively through school. And oftentimes, mental health counseling is used for the internalizing behaviors that are often associated with anxiety and depression. So we want to work with the child to support them so that they can use the tools to help reduce stressors that may be triggers for them. So as you can see, all 3 of these areas, social emotional learning, behavioral supports, and mental health, are important services to support the whole child. Okay, so here are some benefits to having social emotional learning and building upon that through other supports and strategies. It builds higher levels of student success. So we know that we can see significant gains in social emotional learning, in skills, in pro-social behavior, and helping others and building positive attitudes when we are systematically approaching this. More than 10 percentile points can be gained in academic success for students. We also see positive effects are long-lasting. It's not for the short term. It actually truly does help shape their behavior and carries in with them as they grow. And it may improve the teacher's own social emotional learning and their confidence and reduce some of the turnover that sometimes happens when you get exhausted and tired because you start to use the tools that you're teaching. It lowers the risk of adverse outcomes, such as problem behaviors and emotional distress. It lowers and reduces office referrals. It helps children to lower children's with positive relationships with their peers and teachers are more likely to stay in school and less likely to be abused or bullied, kind of teased in school. And then it also promotes life choices. So it builds up and it also reduces all at the same time. And another big area that social emotional learning with mental health and behavior supports really does embrace is the diversity, equity, and inclusion. It helps to transform practices at school sites. So it builds on students' strengths and their cultural assets. It examines systems of power, and it develops better ways of bringing people together. It is most effective at the whole school level, including students, staff, families, and school-wide policies. So all of this comes together, and we know that it started with your board goals, and we want to bring this further down to each of our students in the classroom.
Thank you. And next we're going to talk about the implementation plan, or the how. So how will we carry this work out? And that's going to come in three main areas: professional development, curriculum, and looking at how our staff will be organized, and we're going to share a staff organizational chart with you. So what are our resources that we need? We have two main resource needs: professional development and curriculum. So the first, under professional development, is social emotional learning curriculum, practices, and a framework. And that's for all teachers and for all grade levels. Next, we also have restorative circles for all teachers, for all grade levels. That's that universal social emotional learning. And then we have intensive behavior intervention training, and that's for mental health staff and intensive behavior intervention teams. Would you look over to the curriculum side, the first item that we have is second step, which is universal. So that is a research-based social emotional learning curriculum. And you'll see under that the collaborative for academic, social, and emotional research-based framework. It's often referred to as CASEL. And so the second step, social emotional learning curriculum, is based on the research-based CASEL framework.
So the second step leads into CASEL?
Yes, although I would probably say CASEL, you know, in rethinking this, I would probably put CASEL above it because CASEL really feeds into the second step. So I think that's a good point of clarity.
CASEL being the framework of the 5 focus areas that I shared about, and then second step is the curriculum to teach those 5 areas.
And then finally, we have Rethink Education, which is an intervention curriculum for social emotional learning, behavior, and mental health at the Tier 2 and Tier 3 levels. So if we're talking about having universal social emotional learning using the second step curriculum, just like any curriculum we implement, what do we do when it doesn't work the first time? What do we do when students need something more intensive? And so Rethink Education can help us dive deeper into student needs. This next slide is going to look a little overwhelming at first. So Robin and I are going to tag team this and explain it together. First, I'm going to help orient you to the chart. Now, some of the colors are a little bit different here than what I'm seeing on my paper. But first at the top, we have our 2 departments: personnel services, what I fall under as Director of Administrative Services, and then on the other side in orange, educational services, and what Robin falls under as the Director of Student Support Services. And then we have our five buckets, or our 5 key areas. So that's in the purple. We have CWA, which is our child welfare and attendance. We have social emotional learning, behavior crisis team, mental health, and special education, or SPED. I will talk about the first 2 areas, CWA, child welfare and attendance, and social emotional learning. Now you'll notice that there are some different colors on the chart, and the colors mean things. So the darkest, it's supposed to be a dark green, but I almost, from here, it looks like a brown to me. Does that look like, would you call that brown? What color are you? But the dark green, or that brown color, is what's currently in place on the chart. That medium color green is what's existing, with some new or expanded duties or expanded capacity. And then our lightest green, which is actually looks like yellow, is a new position. So creating a new position. So you have the kind of the darkest color already exists, the medium color is something that's in place but changing, and the lightest color is a new position. So when we look at the child welfare and attendance side of things, all the way over to the side, we have a social worker. So that would be a new position. Underneath that, we have lead social services assistants, which are often referred to as SSAs. And then we have site social services assistants. So what we're looking to do is to coordinate our efforts and expand our social services assistants so that we have leadership to coordinate their efforts, and then increase the hours and the capacity and the staff so that we have a social services assistant at all of our school sites. And moving over, the next area is lead counselor. That would be a new position. We have counselors at our junior highs, our K-8 schools, and we have a shared PPS counselor and PPS is Pupil Personnel Services Counselor. That's just the term for the school counselor at 2 of our elementary schools that share a person. So our counselors lack a home and coordination of efforts. So we really want to take a lead person to help coordinate those efforts. And you can see existing under that is the counselors that we already have. And then bridging and adding to that, we want to bring in a student success mentor. So that would be a person at our junior high level who would help to facilitate articulation among elementary schools and junior highs. Like, who are students that need those special relationships, those special, check and connect or check in, check out mentoring, so that we can ensure continuity of services. Someone to run a mentoring program and build those relationships with students in a systematic way.
What is PPS?
It is Pupil Personnel Services, so it's a classification of a counselor. Moving on to our next bucket area is social emotional learning. And so underneath that, we need someone that would help coordinate all these efforts for social emotional learning. And so that would be a social emotional learning program coordinator. And you can see underneath that, we have our district PBIS coach. That's an existing position. And then next to that, we have our social emotional learning TOSA, which is our teacher on special assignment. So we need a teacher who can go into classrooms and model lessons for our teachers, who can provide that support in the classroom, who can be out at school sites supporting the work that our teachers are doing, because they need that support. And our goal eventually would be to have a PBIS or a social emotional site lead at every school site, similar to the RTI coaches, response intervention coaches that we have at every school site. Okay, and now on the other side of the infographic, Robin's going to share a little bit.
Okay, I'm going to try and use my little pointer, so we'll see if this works. Okay, so here we are. So here I am. And then under our department, we have behavior crisis team section, we have mental health, and we have special education. Under special education, we have all our services intact. This grows or declines based on special education services and needs based on IEPs. So these components are all intact for you. Under mental health, we do have a mental health coordinator, and we also have mental health therapists at the junior highs, and we have mental health associates at the elementary level. Our school psychologists oversee our mental health associates, and so do our mental health therapists if they have associates on their campus. But Jody, who's our mental health coordinator, is the one who does all the supervision for licensing. All of our mental health team members are completely through school. They're master's level professionals. They are just working on their licensing for private practice. So we get the pleasure of being able to have them, but we also have Jody as an expert in the field to be able to provide that supervising for them. And then at the bottom of the mental health section is our RAP team. And this would be a team of building a team of professionals, whether that is a licensed social worker, a marriage family therapist, or a marriage and child family therapist. Any one of those licensing to work together to bridge the home and school environment.
So for that position, we're hiring 4 people?
No, not necessarily. It would be building within any one of those licenses. So in year 1, we're looking to bring on 1 person right away. And then depending on our needs, we will reevaluate and provide an additional support if necessary, if we need to build a bigger team. So this would be re-engagement opportunities for our kids who just are not coming to school or are dealing with trauma, anxiety, fears, or other things, attendance needs. Oftentimes we find parents saying, help me, I don't know what to do. And so our RAP team would be that team to go into the home and slowly build rapport with the child and build a step and strategy back into the school setting to get our kids re-engaged. Also connecting them to outside resources and making sure that we're providing ongoing family care as well as school care.
Would you hire out for that? I mean, would you have referrals for that?
Yes,
as well?
referrals, community partners, and then also having a liaison. So Orange County Department of Ed has a foundational piece of this. They help us with hospitalizations. So we, our lead would work with their lead on bridging kids back from when they come out of the hospital and re-engaging back into the school setting. Oftentimes we don't know that they've been hospitalized, and it may have happened over the weekend, and on Monday we're expecting them to engage in things that maybe they're just not ready for. So we want to make sure we have a proper team to help support them and connect them in with resources. So both outside referrals and community partnerships with internal staff to be able to help kind of keep tabs and know what's going on. Okay. Under the behavior crisis team, we have a program coordinator that we need to have someone coordinate and kind of pull everything together for our BCBAs. We have a BCBA that we brought on this year, as well as 4 behavior instructional assistants to help assist for the unknowns, the things that we are not aware of, or new situations that may arise, and we need somebody on a moment's notice. We have 4 staff members with supervision and coordination. And so this process would be supportive of making sure we're doing staff coaching, we're going in and doing student coaching. And this year we had great success. We had a wonderful success story of a student who was new to us, needed extra intensive supports. The team immediately pulled together, reached out to our BCBA, which is a board-certified behavior analyst. And then we provided a special education instructional assistant who specializes in behavior to this particular school site and assisted the child in teaching them the skills that they needed and then building in the reinforcement and was there for them. So the teacher could keep on teaching. And eventually they scaffolded and switched the role, and the teacher would embed the rewarding within their classroom environment, and the instructional assistant faded out. And we currently have a student who did not need to go into special education because they got the early intervention that they needed. So that is a success story, and that's what this team would help to provide and be a resource for our students as well as our staff. Okay. And that's the end. Do you have any questions for us?
Yes, Rooney.
I'm so excited about this. Thank you so much for all your hard work. And I don't know if my brain is just broken from corporate life, but this organizational chart just seems to make so much sense. But I was wondering if you were going to do the thing with the eye, because that was like, no? Okay, well.
As far as the acronym and the theme pulling together, we decided to go deep into what this means versus the broad components, but we still are going to be focusing on the eye because it's all about the student.
Great.
It's about what you see, and I think that the connection there is the organizational chart gives you a visual of what you see and what staff we're prioritizing as well.
So I guess the follow-up question is, I also was hoping that the RAP team would be maybe fully hired. What is the anticipated, I don't want to say caseload, because these are our students, but I mean capacity for these professionals in the org chart to sort of hit the ground running and start addressing students that are having issues across the district?
Agreed. We know that specialists, and we have the 4 behavior instructional assistants to assist. If we have more than 4 behaviors at one time, it's, you know, we're going to have to share the load. We do use other resources when they're available to help share the load. They may come from another little bucket, but if they're not currently, you know, overwhelmed with what they're working on, we want to put the resource immediately out to the school site. And then again, we bring that back to the table. So of course, we need to know what we don't have the crystal ball, so we don't know what we're going to face.
Robin, in terms of the mental health support,
Yes.
you're talking about a mental health therapist or associate combination, one for every site, not necessarily full FTE, but support of a person at each of the sites.
Is that what they're talking about right now? So in this category right here, we have a mental health specialist who is a licensed mental health specialist at all junior highs, even this year. And then we have mental health associates at all the school sites, even this year. So that's already in place. We want to build and expand maybe hours. We want to make sure that our salary is commensurate to what they would get in the professional field. So we don't want to lose people. But as far as like tackling individual site behavior in the classroom, that would be our behavior team. For our RAP team to provide in-home and bridging back to school services, we will provide what is appropriate, and we definitely know that it may take 3 people at that level to really have the capacity to support every need across the district. But one licensed person probably could have a caseload of up to probably between 20 and 30 situations. So if we need to build upon that, we will come back together and we'll say, you know, we need more support in this area. We're seeing a growing need. We have different avenues to gain input and insight. You know, oftentimes we have kids referred to SARB, and we'll see needs at the SARB panel as well. So we can certainly pull data to see where our needs are and kind of what the referrals are.
And I think I would add to that, you can see that this whole system is interconnected. So the goal is that you're going to eventually have a reduction of behaviors. When you have universal social emotional learning implemented, and that's school-wide and that's district-wide, and it's embedded within a multi-tiered system of support, eventually we're going to reach a point where we get better and better and better, and those really high need behaviors are reduced over time. So that's the goal as well.
Awesome, thank you.
I was going to say that because having everyone work together, you can catch something at the top where it makes it easier at the bottom. So.
Even just something as simple as you know, the PPS credential counselors that are at the junior high, they work closely with the school psychologist at the junior high, who works closely with the mental health associates and the therapists. So you have a team of counselors that sit at the table when resources are needed to be called upon, and we're just going to add to that with the capacity of expertise when needed. So we're just going to keep adding to the foundation pieces that are already in place too.
Have you guys seen the numbers of students requiring mental health services? I know that it's gone up dramatically. Have you seen any change since more and more students are returning to school and returning to, you know, not normalcy, but sports has started and kids are starting to do a little bit more, and it's a bit more open? Are you seeing a difference in our kids' mental health at this point?
Yes, I do. March is always an increase, but that's very typical every year, pandemic or non. October as well. October and March, you know, you can kind of think about what happens in October and March for our kids and teachers and staff, what's going on during that time of year.
All that testing.
So there's a little bit of stress that can elevate need. We have seen a little bit of a decline since March with April, and then we saw just a little bit kind of tapering back up, but it's tapered. So it didn't get as high as what March was, but it's tapered in the sense that once we connect our kids to a counselor and they're either in group or they're in an individual support, they'll keep them by that point through the remainder of the year just to keep tabs on them. In addition to that, we also have our mental health specialists and therapists that are going to be helping during the summer.
That was my next question, is what's happening in the summer. Okay.
So we're going to keep that consistency going forward. And then we also, work very collaboratively with the high school district. So our junior hires that are transitioning onto the high school, we are letting them know once they've received and are enrolled in their school district. We'll communicate with them about making sure that they're connecting families to resources as well as our kids to counseling. So there's 0 gaps in transitioning.
Thank you.
And just to add to that too, we also use a universal behavior screener, the student risk screening scale for internalizing and externalizing behaviors, which is a research-based tool that uses a Likert type scale for teachers to provide input. And it is very innovative that we do that, that we use this screener. And so in comparing our fall data from 2019 to our fall data of 2020, we did see an increase in need. Mm-hmm. We are in the process of wrapping up our spring screener and looking at that data and comparing it to the year prior as well. And so we have data points like that, and also even our Care Solace referrals too, that really show that there is a need from a data standpoint as well.
And do we do that test or that screener in the fall or the spring, or do you do it more than once a year?
We do it 2 times a year.
Oh,
we did it in the fall,
yeah.
and we did it again in the spring. Last school year, when schools shut down, we did it in the fall. We didn't do the spring screener, but we have the spring data from the prior year that we're going to do a comparative analysis when looking at this year's data.
Okay, thank you.
Especially that'll give us that prior to COVID, and then that living in the pandemic, how that data tells a story.
We definitely, just kind of to answer your question, Beth, is that we've definitely seen a change when kids came back into school for the positive. Mm-hmm. So we know that being in the school setting builds a sense of belonging and connectedness when they are physically in the presence of others. And so there was a little bit of a gap with the virtual learning, although our kids were able to do it and they learned, there were also other stressors that they were having to deal with that they've never had to deal with before. So we saw a huge increase related to that. And some kids with isolation. Since coming back into the school setting, that performance of our kids has actually they've done so much better. So we know that in-person learning is probably the optimal for many of our kids. For some who were struggling to come back into the school setting due to anxiety, we really wanted to make sure that we had that bridging process available for them. So we did it in small ways and worked on engagement with our kids, but everyone's different, so you got to do it based on their needs.
Yeah, thank you.
And build a return to school plan kind of for the individual. But yes, that kind of goes up and down depending on the stress that's going on that month.
Do we have any other questions? Fabulous presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Fabulous. And then, oh, come on. Yep. Now we're on 13, which is an administrative report. Oh. Are we on 12? We're on 12. Approved Expanded Learning Opportunity Grant, ELO, and that's the one I'm so excited over.
Hello, good evening. It's Ed Services again. Once again, I would like to bring forward our amazing program coordinator of Ed Services, Dr. Lau. She will be seeking approval for the Expanded Learning Grant. And because in education we love acronyms, the acronym for this grant is ELO. And we would like to give a big shout out to Business Services for their collaboration with this grant, because hand in hand to go with this grant is money. So thank you. Here's Dr. Lau.
Hello again. This one's really short, I promise. So the district will be receiving state money, state funding next year for the Expanded Learning Opportunities Grant, as long as we turn in the application. So I'm here to share with you what that proposal is and that we're seeking approval for tonight. So the purpose of this money is to provide increased opportunities for learning recovery for high-need students. And the money, we have a short time to spend the money. We'll spend it this summer, all next academic year, and then next summer. It has to be spent by August of 2022. And how it is going to be spent, according to the requirements, is that it needs to provide we need to provide supplemental instruction and supports to the high need students. They give us 7 different categories to spend the money in, but we are spending money in 2 of those, and the 2 that we chose are extending the learning time and accelerating progress. So how will these opportunities be different than the regular school day? Again, they need to be supplemental and provide support. So what do those mean? Supplemental instruction is more academic, and it means the instructional programs provided will be in addition to and complementary to what the district is doing in the regular instruction program. Some examples of that we've included in the proposal are intervention, RTI, both in reading and in math, small group tutoring, the Summer Learning Academy, and, oh, I'm sorry, the longer school day, we're not proposing that. I'm sorry, but that's an example of what you could propose. Oops. In terms of what kind of supports could be funded, these are sort of non-academic supports, but they mean interventions and services that are designed to meet student needs for behavioral, social, emotional, and other integrated student supports in order to enable students to engage in and benefit from the supplemental instruction being provided. Some examples of that would be health, counseling, or other mental health services, enrichment activities and programs that integrate social-emotional skill building, access to school meal programs, after-school programs that offer homework help and engage students in hands-on learning, such as STEAM, arts, and visual and performing arts, and then training for school staff on strategies to engage families in addressing students' social-emotional health and academic needs. What type of supplemental instruction and supports will FSD provide students with this funding? We have proposed basically 3 major areas. One would be extended learning time, both in the summer through the Summer Learning Academy. All of these are in the summer, actually. Summer Learning Academy, the ASA Summer STEAM program, English Learner or EL Jumpstart program, and then the Extended Play Summer instruction that's available online. Another category is social emotional learning, including professional development in embedding SEL strategies in instruction, and then also one-on-one counseling. And then other funding would go to accelerating progress, again through RTI coaches, expanding the ELA RTI coaches to include math, purchasing iReady lessons, implementing some Saturday camps, and then also expanding the Delta Club, which is currently focused on math, to also include ELA.
Do you know where your summer stuff is yet?
I'm sorry?
Do you know where our summer school or our summer programs are yet? How many schools?
Oh, the actual schools.
6, 7?
7. There's 7 schools.
And we know locations already?
So it's, what we've done is we've strategically located So what we've done is we've strategically located our summer school hubs so that we could offer this program to all of our students in all 20 schools. And so let me see if I can do this. So it's Beechwood. So there's Beechwood, Pacific Drive, Valencia Park, Woodcrest is the EL Jumpstart program. There is Nicholas Junior High, Beechwood, Fissler, and there's one more. Not Acacia. Raymond, thank you, Raymond. So if you scroll down, there it is right there under the FAQ.
Oh,
Yeah,
there they
so
are.
you'll see it there. So we've listed the school hub along with the surrounding schools that will be going to that school hub.
Thank you. I appreciate that both in your LCAP and in this, there are pieces for teacher training, because we never want to neglect that, and it's so important that
So this
teachers
is a
feel
w-
comfortable with what they're given.
So sorry. This is a one-stop shop to all the summer programs and the registrations. So if you scroll up, it'll have all of the summer programs listed for you and how you can register. And if you even scroll up further, yep. So there's many options for students. Right now, it's on the main website under summer
Is
programs.
that for you to register? Oh, I thought you were going to start joining. You were very eager. I thought you could.
You just got them back to school. Don't let them come home yet. Where is this funding coming from?
It's coming from the state.
It's a state of California grant?
And
And that's it. So we were hoping for approval tonight, and then we need to submit it to the state by June 1st in order to receive the funding.
Okay.
And we submit it to Orange County Department of Ed? and they
Yes, I'm
submit
sorry.
it?
Submit it to Orange County Department of Ed, and and then they basically will send it to CDE if it's requested.
Can they deny it? Or is it pretty
No,
much once
that's
you
what's
get it
kind of
in?
unusual. They're not approving it. We just have to submit it to them. So it's basically just write a plan, and you will receive the money. So, and then we have to report on that, of course. Progress.
Of course. Do we have
Thank
a
you.
motion here?
Oh, do we have to approve the
Yes.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the Expanded Learning Opportunity Grant.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have further discussion?
Nice job.
I did. I had a question. So I saw a lot of overlap from both this presentation and the previous presentation. Is that going to help even collecting some of the input and the surveys from the students from the previous presentation?
I'm sorry, I can't really hear you. What, feedback from students in the previous
Yeah, the feedback from the
presentation?
students, on the survey that they take in order to know kind of how to meet some of their needs. Does that also kind of imply to some of this that's happening?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, even the student survey that we did for the LCAP also indicate, like, students know that they need to, need a sense of belonging. They need, help in terms of kind of getting back up to speed in their academics. So it was really interesting looking at all the different survey outcomes and even the listening tour and everything. Just there was a lot of commonality in what people need, which is nice because it's a clear message on how we can move forward.
And some of this money can be used to pay for some of the previous presentation?
For
They have it, yeah. Social
Yes,
emotional learning
the
right here.
answer is
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
The social emotional learning. Yeah, that's
Yes.
what I was referring to. Sorry.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Are there other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Thank you.
right, thank you.
And I hope it does all go through smoothly and easily. Our next item, is that you, Dr. Hammett?
Yes, it is. So this next item is the declaration of need for fully qualified educators for our next school year, 21-22. Every year, we encounter needs sometimes that can't be met with applicants who hold full credentials. This usually happens in the areas of special education, and depending on when those needs become available, sometimes we have staff vacancies that fall in the middle of the year. And when those happen, there are times when there are shortages of folks who hold the proper credential. So what we're able to do by filing this application is actually hire folks who are in the process of getting their full certification, put them in place with an assurance they will complete their credential, and then that allows us to remain in compliance as far as our Williams credential audit and with the needs of the students at the schools.
Is that clear for everyone? Do we have special areas of need this year?
Not at the current moment. However, as I said, there could be a lot of changes that can occur during a year. And when that does happen, especially as it gets later in the year and the available candidates have all been hired, this is generally when we end up needing this.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to accept this?
I move to adopt the Declaration of Need for Fully Qualified Educators.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. I even have a third. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. Thank you very much, and we hope that we don't have a problem needing people in the future. We've already done our LCAP, so we're ahead there. And now I'm going to ask if we have any requests for information for the future. Aruni?
Yeah, Trustee Sugarman, President Sugarman, I wanted to ask about two things. I think lately we've gotten some emails from parents that were given maybe only half-truths, and so they were worried. I think one issue that we could all be hearing about is this allegation that the state of California is doing away with advanced math for students through the Board of Education. I did mention it to Dr. Pletka. A letter, or if that's not sufficient, then possibly an agenda item at the next meeting, however you and Dr. Pletka see fit. But it has to do with alleged changes to the state's math requirements and not allowing our students possibly to excel as much as they have been
Correct.
in taking advanced math. So that's one issue. And then the other was that I believe that I read that the federal government is initiating a nutrition program for the entire summer. And I know that we, as a district, did a great job. So if that could be a letter or an agenda item, I would appreciate that for the next agenda.
Thank you. So you want us to notify the public on this?
I want on which one?
On both of them?
I'd like it to be an agenda item. That way the public would know. Because I think
what I'm thinking you're saying.
information is so important. So yes, an agenda item on the math guidelines, and then just an update at the next meeting on the nutrition, because I'd like the public to know about that as well, if we're going to be able to provide food throughout the summer.
And maybe Dr. Pletka will get back with a plan of how he's going to disseminate that information, at least especially about the food.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Did you say you wanted something, Leonel? No? Jenny? Okay, two very good points. Thank you, Aruni. And with no other comments, I want to remind the audience that June 8th is our next board meeting, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Okay, 8:30.